All right, everybody. So thank you for joining us this evening for our fourth and final installment of Limitless Month. I am so excited to hear Alicia speak tonight, our wonderful founder and executive director and my good friend. And a lot of you are repeat customers of Limitless Month, so I'm so glad that a lot of you have come back. This has been a really cool journey this month, and I think this is something that we're going to continue to do within Limitless Ambition. By the way, my name is Tiffany Roper, and I am I am the person who's just talking. I am the president of Limitless Ambition, and I'm just really excited to see, how we're going to be poured into tonight. This is also our fundraising month, so we hope that you keep Limitless Ambition in the forefront of your mind when you're thinking of charitable donations or charity that you would like to get involved with, or you're interested in, or when you're in conversations, especially with women. We hope that you'll feel inspired to talk us up and talk about some of the things that we do with women and young girls in our community. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Alicia Robinson.
Hi, everybody. So happy and blessed to be here. It's been a journey, but I'm glad that I can end my evening with all of you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can you guys see it? You guys, I need somebody to like say something.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm going to put these at the.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm so happy to see you all / virtually see you all. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my story. I'm actually going to give you guys my whole life story somewhat succinctly. And I'm also going to tell you guys a little bit about the birth of Limitless Ambition, how we started it, where we are now, where we're going, and then kind of share some tips that I think are very essential and beneficial in launching your legacy, your goal, anything from that nature. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then we'll also have time for questions at the end. Why isn't that? Okay. All right, you guys see? Okay, somebody just shout out if you can't see it, but everybody sees an About Me screen. Everything's going smoothly.
Yes.
All right, so for starters, many years ago, March 31st, 19 blank blank, a beautiful little girl came into this world by the name of Alicia Marie Robinson. Afro was everything, just out here, making a way out of no way. So for those of you who don't know, I am from Warren, Ohio. Warren is a small city towards Youngstown, but it isn't Youngstown, but it's in that direction, about an hour away from Akron. I'm just going to kind of walk you guys through the steps of my journey that kind of, I guess, helped manifest or evolve my why into why I wanted to start Limitless Ambition. So I'm from Warren, Ohio. I graduated from Warren G. Harding High School. While I was in high school, I had the amazing opportunity to be in a program called Upward Bound. The amazing director of the Kent State Upward Bound Classic program is on the phone right now. But for those of you who don't know, Upward Bound is for low-income or first-generation college students. And essentially, it gives students the tools they need to go to college. So it's all about exposure, college prep, career prep, that type of thing. And I always include Upward Bound in my story because I'm positive without Upward Bound, I wouldn't be here where I am today. So I am a first-generation college student. And it was because of the tools that I learned through this program that really helped me to maneuver into different spaces and into where I am today. So shout out to Upward Bound, Trio Works. After going through Upward Bound, fun fact, a lot of people don't know this, I feel. So after I graduated high school, I had to pick a major and I had to pick a college, of course. So of course I picked the amazing Kent State University. When I thought about what major I wanted to choose, I literally made the decision in 7 minutes. So I always tell students, don't do this, but made the decision in 7 minutes. I'm like, okay, the world is a business. I'm going to choose a business major. I love to shop. Googled fashion merchandising, saw it was a major, Googled again, saw that a buyer made $80,000. And I felt like, okay, that's good money. I could do that. Googled again, saw that at the time, Kent State had the #1 fashion school in the nation, shameless plug. And I was like, okay, cool. We're about to do fashion merchandising. So my undergrad is actually in fashion merchandising. It was an amazing experience. I studied abroad in New York. So for a semester, my life was like The Devil Wears Prada. It was a whole situation. Really enjoyed the program. So after going through the Kent State Fashion School, I actually got a job right away, actually. So I interned for Joann Fabric and Craft corporate headquarters, which is in Hudson. And I interned for them in the summer of my senior year. And so my last semester in college, they offered me a job. So I actually worked full-time corporate, and then I also went to college full-time. It was great because I made a lot of money, but my body broke down. I had strep throat. I'll never forget. I was sick for like 3 weeks because that's how tired I was. But I worked corporate for 3 years, and there came a time in my journey where I just realized I wanted more out of life. So I was sitting in a cubicle every single day, crunching numbers. There was a time on my journey where I looked at my boss and I said, we spend 40 hours a week ordering birdhouses. Do you know how many lives we could have saved? So it's right then and there, I realized I should probably make a career change some way, somehow. So I did what you're not supposed to do. And I up and quit my big girl job. Like I literally just went in and quit. I took out extra loan money so that I could live and survive, which I really, really regret and really tell everybody, don't take out extra loan money, make it work a different way. But that's how I did it. Actually, before I quit my job, I started Limitless Ambition. Started it very small, and I'm going to walk you guys through the steps of how I started it. And so Limitless Ambition was up and running, but we weren't doing much programming. We just had a couple social media pages, and we weren't doing much. So I quit my job. I had a mentor at the time who actually was the director of the Upward Bound program. And of course, when you hear, your mentee quit her job, you call her into your office instantly. And she was like, hey, are you looking for a graduate assistant? Are you looking for a job? And I was like, I guess yes. So long story short, my mentor connected me with the Women's Center at Kent State University, as many of you all know. So about 7 years ago, I became a student worker at Kent State University. I remember that like it was yesterday because my first paycheck wasn't even enough to pay my cell phone bill. Because if you guys remember, I came from corporate to no job and now to a student worker job. So that was like a humongous leap of faith. And so I worked at Kent State for 7 years. I held multiple positions. I was a graduate assistant, a program coordinator where I did women's leadership work, and then also sexual assault prevention awareness work. And then I was the assistant director for the past 3 years, overseeing women's leadership initiatives and women of color initiatives. I also graduated with my master's degree in that time. So I got my master's degree in 2016. My master's is in human development and family studies. And my focus is positive youth development and nonprofit organization. So a lot of you guys on this call are about to know some kind of privileged information. It's public, but it's not public yet because I haven't let everybody know yet. But I was with Kent State University for 7 years. And actually for the past 8 days, today was day 8, I have been the Associate Director of Research and Evaluation at the Flora Stone Mather Center for Women at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. So it's definitely been eye-opening. It's definitely been a blessing. Of course, a promotion, a very amazing job. Actually, my dream job. But I know it's only day 8, so I feel like, of course, it seems all amazing now. But I really, really love it. I did learn that in these days that it's not just called Case. It's important that you say Case Western Reserve. So I did learn that. So that's what I've been doing the past 8 days. And so that's kind of like my career trajectory. But when I talk about my why, so I always get a lot of questions about like, oh, well, like, why did you launch Limitless Ambition? Like, what fuels your fire? What fuels your passion? So as I was growing up, there were a lot of different things that I noticed. There were a lot of different things that I observed. And there were also some things that I experienced. So going through Upward Bound, like I told you guys, it was a very pivotal program for me, very essential in my long-term career goals and academic goals. However, I always felt some type of way because all my friends couldn't come. So Upward Bound, they select students, and I knew that the opportunities that I was getting, I would just always think like, oh, if my other friends were in these courses or could go to this program, like it would really benefit them. So I actually have been saying since I was about 16 or 17 years old that I wanted to have a nonprofit organization for young girls. Like I've been saying that for a lot of years. I didn't know what type of organization. I didn't know what I was going to do with the girls. I didn't know what I was going to talk about, but I've always wanted that. So some things that I observed around me that didn't necessarily happen to me really also fueled my fire. So I had a lot of friends who had unplanned teen pregnancies. I also had, family members who, were in jail for nonviolent crimes. Part of my fuel is fueled by mass incarceration, particularly Black people, for nonviolent crimes, where people I have family members doing 15 years, 20 years, just all types of things like that. And then some things that I experienced personally. I myself was in a series of unhealthy relationships. I had low self-esteem, poor confidence, poor body image, just the things that, one may say that typical teenage girls go through. And then for me, my personal breaking point was when I was 19 years old. My dad was actually killed in a car accident. It was very, very sudden. I was a sophomore in college. I remember the day like it was yesterday. When that happened, I really hit like a really, really low. So I sunk into a deep, dark depression. I didn't understand why I was here. I didn't understand what my purpose was. I didn't understand just anything. And so through that, I am very spiritually based. I got involved with the church. And through the church, I went through this purpose workshop. And the purpose workshop was centered around a philosophy that's actually coined by T.D. Jakes, and it talks about pain plus passion equals purpose. So it talks about how the painful events we go through in life, coupled with what we're passionate about, is our purpose. And it also talked about how our purpose is here to impact the lives of others. And so for me personally, that was just a huge healing mechanism for me, even to this day, to think that all the painful things that I went through and I experienced, the fact that I can add them to my passion and create something that could help the next generation maneuver those obstacles was really, really big, and something that really fueled my fire. And it made me really want to develop things and principles and tools to help the next generation do so as well. So from all of that, Limitless Ambition was born and created. So I decided to launch Limitless Ambition. As you guys know, we're in a 501c3 nonprofit organization. This is our current mission. It's going to change. All my board members on this call, it's going to change. But current mission is we preserve and promote the visions of young girls and women who may have been discouraged from pursuing their long-term goals. By providing resources, training, and support, we assist these women in developing limitless ambitions. So this mission is very much so our mission. But business tip 101, it's very long. When you have a mission for your business, it should be kind of short and succinct. It should be able to roll off your tongue. A more updated mission is something that we brainstorm is something like, we want to empower young women to relentlessly pursue their dreams. Bam, that's it. Succinct, one sentence. And so we are looking to shorten that, but that is our mission. So as a lot of you know, we've been in corporation for over 5 years. We've impacted the lives of over 3,000 young women. And we do this through 4 key programs. So we have teen enrichment programs in inner city schools. Right now we are in 4 Akron public schools and a Cleveland public school. And next semester we will be in Barberton Middle School as well. A little bit about our teen programs. We go in a pre-COVID world. We go in during the day, typically over lunch and recess, and we hold girls groups. So we talk about multiple topics such as self-esteem, conflict resolution. So we teach young girls how to walk away from fights and not get into fights. Emotional regulation. So giving young girls the tools to evaluate their emotions, label their emotions, develop coping mechanisms to help them, calm down their emotions and develop self-care plans and that type of thing. We, of course, do passion and purpose discovery and some goal setting. And most importantly, we just create a safe space where young girls really feel they can be their authentic and individualistic selves. Since we are now in the midst of a pandemic, all of our programs are virtual and are instructor-led. So as of right now, we are still in 5 schools, and we host programs every day throughout, not every day, maybe Thursday, Friday, and Monday throughout the week, various times. And so girls can log on through Zoom, kind of like you guys are, and really be enriched. I was kind of worried when we transitioned to virtual, but we have really high attendance, and it's because kids miss seeing kids. So by girls logging into our groups, it's the first time that they're seeing their friends and different things like that. So it's going really well. We also have our Dream Kit program. Our Dream Kit program was actually the brainchild of our founding president, Zinka Hart. This is where we take our custom curriculum, couple administration products, workbooks, journals, t-shirts, and donate them to young girls in foster care. And the motive behind that is that we want to continue to empower young girls in the midst of their circumstances. So we want to be able to connect with them wherever they are and just give them something that lets them know, hey, somebody is thinking of you. Hey, somebody loves you. Hey, we appreciate you. And if you need anything, please reach out, that type of thing. We also do women's empowerment events. I was speaking to actually some high schoolers yesterday. and it was actually a group of entrepreneurs. So it was amazing. They were aspiring entrepreneurs. They have these programs in the Stowe school system, actually. And one of the young boys was like, because their homework was to actually Google me and to Google Limitless Ambition before I came. And so when I got there, they had all these questions. And he was like, well, women's empowerment events, that's actually really broad. Like, what exactly do you mean by that? And I'm like, oh, he's kind of right. Maybe I should go into detail more often about what we mean. So we say women's empowerment events. Essentially, we want to throw events that can empower women to continue to live a limitless life, whatever that looks like. So that manifests in multiple ways. So we have our Ladies of Legacy Gala, which we typically have every year, that got canceled due to COVID. I'm still hurt about it. And then also even like these Limitless Month events, these also qualify as women's empowerment events. So we just want to be able to connect with women in the community to help give them the tools they need to continue to follow their dreams. We also give scholarships out every year to graduating high schoolers, two to be exact. And so those are kind of the main things that we do through our programming. The concept that we really like to thread in between all of our programs is that if a flower won't bloom in your garden, you enrich the soil, you don't change the flower. And so essentially that's what we do with all of our programming. We allow the girl to be her individual, authentic, beautiful self. And then we just nourish her soil with tools that she needs to kind of live the life that she desires. So here's just some pictures. That's me, all the girls. The whole goal is just to, meet young girls where they are, instill them with the tools they need, and just continue to just be there for them, give them a sense of belonging, a sense of sisterhood, a sense of community. Of course, I've talked a lot about what we do. And a lot of people are like, how do you do all of that? And my answer is, well, how do you do all of that by yourself? And my answer is, I don't. So as of right now, we have a team of over 20 amazing women. It always gives me chills every time I think of that. Because when I walk you guys through how I started it, it definitely was just 2 people. And then now we're at a team of 20. So this is our amazing, beautiful board of directors, some of which are on this call right now. So I love you all and I appreciate you all. And thank you all for your hard work. And thank you for pushing me to be better. There's a lot of research out there for those of you who are on the call who want to start nonprofits. There's a lot of research out there that shows about how there can be a love-hate relationship between the board of directors and the executive director. And I don't disagree with that. Sometimes, we may butt heads a bit, but at the end of the day, my board, especially this past year and a half, has really pushed me to be my best self and push Limitless Ambition to be the best organization that it can really be. So I'm really proud of this group of ladies and I really appreciate them and love them. So this is the board of directors side. And then we also have an amazing volunteer team, some of which I also know are on the call. So board of directors typically govern and oversee the organization and act as the checks and balances to make sure we're compliant, to make sure our infrastructure is in place, and to make sure we're making the reach and staying true to our mission. Whereas our volunteer team is kind of oversees the day-to-day operations of our organization. So there's Ashley, she's our director of finance. She's the one I told you guys got an A in her class today, and also my best friend. There's Andrea and Heather. So these are my tech squad. So I just want to pause and just shout them out. So Andrea and Heather are amazing. And they're probably both blushing like, oh my God, Alicia, please stop talking about us. But they literally helped us take our curriculum and make an instructor virtual led. They're also working on an online e-learning program, just doing so many amazing, beautiful things that are far outside of my area of expertise. And so for that, I am forever grateful and I love them. Madison, Kristen, so the longer I've had Limitless Ambition, I've gotten a bit older. Not to say I'm not cool, but I'm not the coolest of cool, which is okay. So Limitless Ambition is amazing in the fact that we are a 360 women's leadership development organization, which basically means we actually, I don't want to say employ, we get program facilitators that are college students, train them on how to deliver the curriculum, and then they go into the high school and they empower the high schoolers. Of course, we supervise them and oversee them, but we teach young women how to be leaders and we teach young women how to impact the next generation, which I think is beautiful and awesome. Yana Ware is also one of our facilitators. She oversees our Cleveland programs. And then we have our amazing marketing team down below who oversee our social media. We have a PR person. And so that's kind of how we keep the nonprofit rolling and going. So I know the question is, okay, Alicia, like we see where you're at now, but like, how did you get there? Like, I can't just wake up and look up and have 20 people helping me. I understand that. So really quickly, I'm also going to walk you through like exactly how Limitless Ambition was born. So as I told you guys before, I went through the purpose workshop, found my purpose, decided that, my why is I want to impact the next generation of young girls. I want to instill tools in them. And so then Limitless Ambition was created. This is actually our original logo. This was the very first logo we had. I have a secret goal and dream of developing a dance and fitness studio. It really still might happen. So if you look at this girl, she looks like a dancer. Because in my original vision, which we're going to talk about pivoting in a little bit, it was all going to be under one umbrella. Little Alicia was dreaming real big, but this was our original logo. So once I had Limitless Ambition, I was thinking about, okay, how can I start it? What can I do? What can't I do? And so I started Limitless Ambition as an Instagram page. A lot of people don't know that. It was just an Instagram page. Like I didn't know how to empower people or where to go or what to do. So I was like, I'll just do a motivational Instagram page. And so that's actually how we started. We built our following through Instagram, and I would just post positive quotes. At the time, I'm like, if I could just impact a life, that's enough for me. One of my friends did try to play me. I forgot, like years ago. She was like, "Was Limitless Ambition just gonna be an Instagram page, or are you gonna do something?" And so that did really motivate me. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, okay, well, let me do a little bit more. So then I knew I wanted to reach teens. I knew I wanted to reach youth. So I started speaking any and everywhere I could go. So anywhere teenagers were, I wanted to speak. I wanted to get in front of them. I wanted to see what they wanted, what they didn't want. I wanted to empower them and just get in front of them and see what they needed. I didn't realize then, but what I basically was doing was I was doing focus groups and I was testing our curriculum. I was doing different things with teens, seeing what made them bored, seeing what they didn't like, asking them questions about what they needed. So I really was testing our curriculum and seeing what we needed to make it work. After that, I was a part of a program at Kent State that's called LaunchNet. LaunchNet is actually at a couple of different universities across the nation. The one at Kent State is fueled by Burton D. Morgan, and essentially they help students launch their businesses. I went through LaunchNet. They helped me incorporate, they helped me get all those things together. And they also helped me work on my pitch and work on my business ideas. So through LaunchNet, I had the opportunity to do pitch competitions. I spoke at various board meetings, and by essentially just getting up in front of people and allowing them to poke holes in my arguments, it really helped fine tune and iron out Limitless Ambition. So this was the time where every time I told somebody about Limitless Ambition, they would always ask me like, well, do we need this? Because don't we have Girl Scouts? Like if I had $1 for every time I heard that. So then I realized I also needed help. So the way that I got help earlier on is I actually hung up flyers around Kent State because I was a grad student at the time. So I just hung up flyers and they had the little pull away tabs. People could pull the tabs away and email us. So my very first team, and I need to find a picture, was actually just 5 students. And we worked together to run the social media, build the curriculum, and that type of thing. So I also joined and I promise I'm gonna like tie all of this together. So I also joined an organization called All the CEO Ladies, which was through LaunchNet. And through that organization, at the very beginning of when it starts, you have to say your pitch, which means like you have to tell everybody about your business. So when I joined that, I said my pitch, told everybody about my business. And then lo and behold, after the meeting, somebody came up to me and said, I want to help with Limitless Ambition. And so at that time, that's when I realized this was something that people, wanted to be a part of and wanted to help. And who was that other than Zinga Hart, our founding president? So Zinga came up to me, and of course, Limitless Ambition was already here, but we didn't have a board of directors. We didn't have a 501c3 status. We were kind of doing programs, but not doing much. We didn't have an infrastructure. So I met Zinga, and me and Zinga literally started the infrastructure of Limitless Ambition and everything with Limitless Ambition through these 2 tools. Nonprofit Kit for Dummies and Google. I kid you not. It's like everybody always comes to me expecting some like big, thing. Like, well, how did you start? Like, what do I need? What do I need? And I'm like, literally, I started it literally the For Dummies, like that brand. It was a really good book. I actually recommend it to anybody starting a nonprofit. The For Dummies brand are all really, really good essential books. And so literally use that book and Google to get Limitless Ambition started. I was executive director, so I drove the organizational side. Zinga was our founding president, so she helped us build our board of directors, our bylaws, all our beginning infrastructure materials. And from that, our organization was born. And we just kept growing. We kept, pivoting, adapting. We kept changing. We kept shifting. And so that's kind of what we are today. So this transition is into the more so of the tools and skill set part of the presentation. So as we know, this has been a really powerful series. So week 1, Tiffany Roper said, quiet the things that dog your light. Week 2, Zinga Hart said, fuel the things that set your light ablaze. Week 3, Brenda Coulter said, douse the flames of fear that burn in your heart. And so week 4, Oprah is saying, you have to find what sparks a light in you so that you in your own way can illuminate the world. So I'm going to be honest, I racked my brain trying to come up with something deep around a light and around a flame to keep it going, because I did pressure them. I'm like, hey guys, I was like, Brenda, Zinga referenced Tiffany, so make sure you reference all of them. So I empowered that, and then it comes to my week and I can't come up with a quote. But Oprah, that's why I love her, she came up with the quote. And so I do think that kind of embodies what I believe launching your legacy is. It's all about not only catering to the flame inside of you, and we'll talk about that, but realizing your flame is definitely meant to light other people's flames. And as you're lighting other people's flames, it is so fulfilling. When people come to me talking about how they have goals, or they want to start a business, or they want to start a nonprofit, or even going back to school or doing a job change, whatever your thing is, because it's very interchangeable. My number one tip is to say, just start now. You know what I mean? Because by you starting now, it's going to fuel yourself to continue to keep going. And it's going to bring you just tons of fruit and joy and et cetera. So out of all the things that I said to you guys earlier, some keys to success that I would say really helped were identifying a problem, an issue, or a need that needs to be filled. And that's kind of business 101. So what need are you fulfilling? What problem are you fixing? What is your issue? And then of course you want to write the vision and make it plain. A lot of people sometimes when I'm talking and they have a nonprofit or idea, or they're trying to even just empower their team, so even just be a good leader or an effective leader. They don't know why they're struggling, but a lot of times we don't make our vision plain to people, so they don't know where they fit into the vision at. So when people first start nonprofits and they're like, I need help, I need help, I need help. I'm like, well, where do you need help at exactly? And so one thing that I did with Limitless Ambition, and I still do, is I will literally write a whole job description for something that I need. And I'm like, I don't know where it's coming. And now we're at the point where we about to start really paying people for real. So it's I don't know where it's coming. I don't know when it's coming, but this is the role that I need. And this is what I need to be fulfilled. Because one thing you don't want to happen is you don't want to attract good people. And then they don't understand the vision. They don't understand the mission. They don't understand their role. They don't understand, how they're being essential. And so that is very important. I also would say be okay with pivoting. A lot of times we have an idea and then one thing doesn't work, so we just stop. When I first started Limitless Ambition, we did everything. I did school supply drives. I did a financial literacy workshop. I did a prom dress drive. I was trying to tutor people one-on-one. I don't even know math myself, so I don't know why I felt like that was the realm to go. But I think that it's okay to realize, to try out a series of things. And I think they always say throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, and pivot quickly, swiftly, and don't feel bad about it. At the end of the day, your vision and your goals are meant to evolve. They're meant to warp. They're meant to change. And I think that the more people who understand that, the more unstuck people will get. Because I hear a lot of people who are like, oh, well, I tried this, now COVID happened. Okay, what can we do? Everybody's on these webinars. How can we get, creative, that type of thing. So follow the proper steps to incorporate. So this is more so for my nonprofit people. So over the years, I've met a lot of people who have nonprofit organizations. They incorporate, but they don't take those extra steps to get their 501c3. And so I just always tell people just save up the money and just do it as early as possible, because it really will help you in the long run. And I have heard stories where people, I've known people who've had organizations and then somebody wants to give them a big donation, but they're not a 501c3. So I think that it is important to make sure your infrastructure and everything's aligned. I think it's very important to identify your stakeholders for success. So people sometimes joke about me oh, Alicia, you're just everywhere. You're in every circle, you're around, et cetera, et cetera. which is true and not true. I'm going to talk about balance and self-care in a little bit, but it really and truly, I think the one thing that I learned, it's not about what you know or who you know, but who knows you. Like that is the truest thing. And I feel like people discount that so much. Like you could have the best idea. You could like, it really like networking is so important and so critical and literally can lead you to success. So I think that's very important. And not only just networking in general, but just seeing like who do you need to be aligned with if you have an organization. I had a student yesterday ask me like, well, how did you get into the schools? And the answer is I got to know school counselors, school guidance counselors. For years, I would send emails to the Board of Education and like nobody would ever respond to me. Nobody would ever get back to me. It wasn't until I started literally meeting people one-on-one. They would be like, oh, I want to bring you into my school. So really relationship building is so pivotal, not only when starting a business, but it's really pivotal to any type of success. It really, really is. I could go all day. I low-key should probably like make a whole workshop around like just relationship building and networking, but I digress. So pilot your program or initiative, prove that it works. So it is important to really make sure like what you're doing is working. So that's another reason why I always tell people to start now and not to wait, because the earlier you start, the sooner you can see like, is this working? Is this something people want? Is it not? And then of course, get a team. So if you have a nonprofit, volunteer match is really good. If you have a nonprofit or a business, universities are great for interns, whether they're paid or unpaid. So it doesn't matter what your business is. There's tons of majors, as we all know, at universities. Tons of students always need internships, sometimes for credit, sometimes not for credit, but you can get free work all the time. Not that I'm condoning like, not paying people, but internships are valuable experience that students need. And I feel like people overlook that. Some other things I feel like I'm just talking a lot. Does anybody have any questions? It's so weird when you're virtual. And I see like, does anybody have any questions? Please just yell them out if you do. Any questions?
LaQuadra had a question about how you selected your board, but I feel like you might have answered it, but she can correct me if I'm wrong.
All right, so how I selected my board. So when I first started, I put all of my friends on my board, and it was the worst decision I ever made. I put my friend circle at the time on my board. And I'm not saying they were bad board members, but what I am saying is she just shouldn't have did it. So I put all my friends on my board. It was on like 5 or 6 of us. And then like they all quit, like literally, like I had a year where like I had no board members. And then I started recruiting via volunteer match, via word of mouth. And then we started getting real people who were attracted to the organization because of the mission and because of the vision, not because they just like me as a person or because they think they're doing me a favor. And so then we evolved and got there, but now we're at a place where we actually, it's real official. Shout out to Deb. I don't know if Deb is here. She's my vice president and chair of governance, but every year we do board, well, not every year, this will be our 2nd year doing it this way. But the process that we follow now is we have 15 seats on our board. Right now, we have 2 seats open. And so towards the end of the year, coming up shortly, board members will submit names of recommendations. We'll reach out to the people who they recommended. They'll fill out an application. We'll go through a screening. We'll go through 2 screening processes. Then the governance committee will suggest to the board who they want to be on the board, and then the board has the vote. So it's like a really like streamlined and official process now. But for those who are just starting, I would just suggest by, once again, networking, getting out into the field, and really trying to post and see like who's really interested in the mission and the vision of the organization. I always encourage people to push past their friendship circles if they can. And so so if you're having an organization for, say, foster youth, try to go to events, go to fundraisers thrown by those agencies, like get in the rooms of people who are passionate about your cause. And that's where you can find your board members. Any other questions? That was a good question. That was a really good question. All right, so some things that I feel like are essential for success are setting realistic goals. So I used to be really, really big on setting like 30,000 goals a year. And Zinga, actually, I'll credit Zinga to this. She reeled me back in. And so really just setting realistic goals, granting yourself grace, realizing you will miss deadlines and it's okay. and just kind of operating from that lens. I'm reading a book called The One Big Thing, and he talks about how you should really only set one goal at a time. The way I'm set up, my horoscope, I'm Aries, just all these things. I don't know if that's possible for me. But now instead of having like 8, I have a solid 6. And when I fall off to 4, I feel okay about it. But he talks about how if you're spreading yourself too thin, like you really can't achieve the quality of work on anything because you're spreading yourself too thin. I would also say to operate with intentionality. So a lot of people, especially those who, probably a lot of people on this call, we're all, we all want to better the world. We all want to help somebody. We all want to make an impact. And so I see a lot of, especially emerging professionals, just on tons of boards, always volunteering, overworking, just pouring out, but they're not really focused on their own personal goals. So I think it's important to operate with intentionality. And so I'll use myself, for example. So I have a nonprofit organization that empowers women. I sit on the board of, shout out to Jen, because she's here, of the Women's Network Women's Leadership Advisory Council. I work in a women's center. And then I also serve on the board of the Akron Urban Young Professionals that empowers people of color. So everything that I'm in is very cohesive. It overlaps very much so. I had somebody in my ask me the other day, hey, can you be on this board for sustainability? You know what? I love the earth, but no, I can't. Why? Because it's not in line with my passion, with my mission, with my vision, with where I'm trying to go. And so I think that is really important, especially if you have a big goal. Actually, I think that's important for everybody. I think it's okay to like center in on a cause. I'm also very passionate about infant mortality, especially within Black women. So like, of course, I can't necessarily maybe be on a board right now, but I would love to donate, or I hope somebody, start that up, or, like it's okay to find different ways to give to a cause that you're passionate about and then be okay with it. Because I do think that we live in a society where, being overworked and burned out and running around is kind of glamorized. And so I don't really try to subject myself to that. I'd really try not to. So I think I harped on networking skills a lot. I do think leadership skills are also very important when you're starting a business. I think that's oftentimes overlooked, but just being a good leader. And when I say leader, I mean knowing how to empower any type of team to achieve a goal. That's very important. There's tons of books on it. I think that is important to look at. Your credibility. So I always say too, like, how are you an expert in this field? Like, what makes you an expert? So I meet a lot of people who are like, I want to be an entrepreneur because I don't want to work for anybody. But sometimes working for other people not only can like gain you credibility, can level up your level of expertise, but you can also get some free trainings, free conferences. Like I always tell people, like, it's okay, of course, to want to work for yourself. I know Tiffany has an amazing goal where she wants to retire by 40. I think 40 you want to retire by, right, Tiffany? And I think I do too. But, there's ways that you can do, like, as you're leading up to that, to gain money that's in your passion, that's in your purpose. I meet a lot of people who hate their jobs. And I don't believe anybody would sit here to like work a job that's not in line with their purpose and that's not in line with their passion. Like when you put intentions out there to receive more, you'll get more. I'm really, really big on mentorship. So mentors and consultants are very, very important. In short, people always ask me like, well, how do I identify a mentor? Think about where do you want to be and find somebody who's already there and reach out to them. And then people are always like, well, how do I ask? And the answer is the most awkward way possible. Hey, will you be my mentor? And if they don't automatically say yes, if they start to hesitate, then you say, we don't have to meet all the time, maybe a couple times a year. Nobody's going to say no to that. And so I think mentors are very important. I have mentors in every segment of my life. And they really there's no point in reinventing the wheel when somebody has already done it. So don't be afraid to set monetary goals. I've been doing a lot of listening and reading around manifestation and just how it's okay to be okay with wanting to make a lot of money. It's okay to, you know what I mean? And I feel like, especially as women, sometimes we don't put money first, but I'm not saying put money first, but it's okay to be in the top 3. That's how I feel. I don't know. And then self-care. So I think self-care is very, very important. And I actually, as I was making this presentation, for some reason, I felt the need to really stop and harp on self-care because I feel like people don't realize when different segments or categories of your life are off, you're going to really struggle to meet your goals, no matter what those goals are. And I think that people don't realize that. So So I think it's really important to have a self-care routine. So not just one thing you do once. So not just, all right, I went and got a pedicure, 3 weeks ago, and that was my self-care. But things that are literally like ritualistic routine, you do it every morning, you do it a few times a week. So finding things that refuel you and doing these things regularly, and that could be anything. So it could be deeper, like a journal or meditation or prayer, but then it also could be, I really like watching Girlfriends. And so sometimes like this, I've been really stressed out like these last 2 weeks. I've literally watched maybe 50 episodes of Girlfriends. For those who don't know, it's a sitcom that's on Netflix. And so that refuels me. I love to laugh. I love to just sit around and laugh. So that refuels me. It's I call it part of my self-care routine. I think it's important that we focus on having a healthy mind, body, and soul, because it really does trickle outward into everything that we touch. Daily morning routine. So there was a study done on the top millionaires in the world. And I want to say 97 or 98% of them had a morning routine. So they all got up at a certain time, they did certain things, and it really aided to their success. So you can journal, you can do prayer, meditation, workout, reading, podcast. I've been really obsessed with Rachel Hollis lately. So she talks about how own the morning. When you own the morning, you own the day, then you own the week, then you own the month, and then you own the year. And so I put this vase here and I wanted to kind of focus in on, instead of pouring until you're empty, constantly fill yourself so you can impact the lives with your overflow. And so that's a quote that I really try to live off of. I meet so many women who like want to do so many amazing things, but they're not putting themselves first. And so I think that that's very important. So I wanted to share some things, because I know in Brenda's last one, people had book suggestions. So these are the books that like have been getting me through this year. So I've been really into Rachel Hollis, and she's a mom. And I know that we have a lot of moms on the calls. I talk with a lot of moms and they're just like, my life is hectic. I have a lot of things all over the place. But Rachel Hollis is a mom. She has 4 kids. I want to say her youngest is like 2. And of course she has a nanny and all these other things, but she talks about that in the books as well. But she talks about how it's okay to be a mom boss. And I think it's stigmatized sometimes, or sometimes like women especially are made to feel guilty for putting themselves first or for having other goals outside of the family. And so Rachel Hollis, I think, frames it really, really well. So much so that I'm like, okay, when I'm ready to pop out my kids, I feel okay about this, and so Untamed by Glennon Doyle was really good. More Than Enough by Elaine Welteroth was really good. Draw the Circle, which is a 40-day prayer challenge, was really good. We're running slow on time. And so those are some books. These are also some of my favorite podcasts. I was going to dive into these, but I will share this PowerPoint out because I do want to get to like the reflection piece. So I've talked a lot today just about some things, just about the story of Limitless Ambition, some things that have helped me as I continue down the journey of leadership and of launching my legacy. It's a joy. But I did want to give you guys some things to reflect on. So I do want us to take some time and talk about and just think about through these things. And this is kind of, I know Zynga had us doing some things too, but I really want to challenge everybody to really like write this down. Because I don't know about you, when I'm in webinars, I really never really do the activities that tell me to do. Is anybody else? Is that just me? Because I don't like to follow rules. Okay, Kelly, I see you. But I really want you guys to write this down. So I want you guys to think, first of all, I want everybody to take a picture of this slide so that you have it as a reference. Tiffany, because I can only see like a couple faces. So I want you guys to take some time, and I'm going to give everybody 5 minutes. I want you guys to take some time on thinking about, what is your goal or business idea? What is your why? Who are the stakeholders you need for success? Thinking about a credibility check. So are you an expert in the topic? How can you become more of an expert? What kind of mentors, advisors, or coaches do you need? And then also I want you guys to think about the massive action rule. So I was listening to a podcast and this notion changed my life. The coach said that the only reason anybody has not achieved any goal that they have is because they haven't put enough hours towards that goal. And so I find myself, when I fall behind in my goals or on my to-do list, like I get really, really frustrated. But then when I look at my calendar and I look at the work or output I put towards that goal, it's usually 0 or minimal. So I also want everybody to think about like how many hours do you want to put towards your goal? And then also what obstacles are going to get in the way of achieving the goal? All right, we had a good question. So Eris asked, can you explain stakeholders again? So stakeholders are people that you need that are essential for your success. So say you want to launch a nonprofit that feeds the homeless. You would need to be partner with community agencies, maybe that already work with the homeless. Maybe you would need some caseworkers, volunteers that work with you. Maybe you just want a mentor, that already has this or does work like that. So just somebody that could help you. Or say you want to go back to school. Maybe you want to go for clinical mental health. Maybe you need to find some counselors to talk to, so just different people that can help you along the way. All right, does anybody want to share? Oh, hey, Tamika. Hi, Valerie. I'm just out seeing like the rest. Hi, Patrice. I'm just out seeing like all that like names of the big people. Anybody want to share?
I'll share if you need me to, but
I
I feel like I always share.
know, somebody else share.
Somebody else share.
Yeah, and I want to respect though, because we're all about consent. So I also want to respect people if they don't want to share. It's okay to say no. It is okay to say no.
I feel like maybe one of the easier questions to answer that maybe a couple people could just shout out is, what kind of mentors, advisors, or coaches do you have? Because I know Alicia alluded to relationships and how important they are. So do any of you want to share at least who is someone in your circle that really motivates you or is a coach for you?
Hello. Hey guys, this is Jasmine Waters. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You already know what I'm going to say. Listen, I'm not being biased, everybody. I promise. But listen, I am a dear friend of Alicia's. I won't use the B word. That's best friend, because she calls so many people best friend. I don't want to offend anyone else. But here's the thing. Alicia has been my encourager and motivator when it comes to putting together my own nonprofit. She has sat down with me. We have had planning meetings. We've had plenty of discussions. And when I kind of feel like, you know what, this is not going to work, I don't have the time for this, Alicia is constantly reminding me, to make time for my nonprofit, because it's important. It's important work, and it's an important awareness. And so Alicia she doesn't want to be called a mentor from me, and that's fine. I won't call her a mentor. I call her my friend, but really she is a mentor in that area of a nonprofit, helping me with that piece. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank you, Jasmine. I will say this too, because I didn't touch on it, I don't think, earlier. I also feel like mentors are very important, but I do also think friends are very important as well. So your circle needs to be very supportive. Like, I do believe that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Mm-hmm. So I've also met people too who they aren't getting where they want to be, but it's because they're surrounded by people who have never been there or don't even want to go there. And so I do think that that's very essential. So in 2017, not to get super spiritual, I literally prayed for the whole year for real friends. That was I didn't pray for no man. I just wanted friends, for real friends. And I definitely think I received them. And I think that I really do value sisterhood and just positive friendship. So I will say that. So I think my friends definitely serve as mentors, advisors. They listen to me crying. So y'all don't see the real stuff. Y'all don't see the behind the scenes tears and just being extra and dramatic that I can sometimes have. But does anybody else want to share, have any questions? Thank you, Jasmine, for sharing. Because if not, I'm going to mosey on. So the essential goal and vision of not only my own, but also of Limitless Ambition is so that we can take beautiful young girls who have dreams and passions and help them grow into beautiful women who have limitless ambition. And we also know that when we impact one life, we impact thousands. And so there are numerous ways you guys can get involved if you would like. So we all are always taking volunteers for our board committee. We also have a volunteer team that does program planning, social media marketing, Dream Kit coordinator. You can also become a corporate sponsor. So we do partner with businesses in the area. They could be sponsors of our events, such as our gala, or even we've even had businesses who've donated money for our Dream Kits. And then you can also host a donation drive for Limitless Ambition. So like I said, we do give Dream Kits to young girls in foster care. So we're always, looking for menstruation products, toothbrushes and toothpaste, high quality soaps. So a lot of times when people do drives, they'll bring back the soap that you see in hotels, and all that is fine and good. But honestly, research shows that young girls in foster care, a lot of them are unfortunately survivors of sexual assault, abuse, that type of thing. And so studies have shown that the higher quality of bath product can also help them feel comfortable as they're going through their healing process. So we're looking for that. Black hair care products, and also gift cards. So we use gift cards as incentives for girls in our Dream Kits, so that if they complete our survey or reach out to us, they can get a gift card. And then now, to be all the way honest, now that our programs are all virtual, we have some pretty steep incentive packages too for the girls to keep them logging in and joining us. And then of course, monetary donations are always great. And I'll drop in the chat momentarily the link to donate. So thank you to all of our sponsors. And thank you all. This is my contact information, which I feel like everybody knows it because I sent out that email. But does anybody else have any questions? Any questions, comments, or concerns, or anything we want to close out? Oh, thank you. All right, Tiffany, do you want to do the close?
I just want to say again, thank you, Alicia. This was not what I expected. It was a cool little journey to go on with you. And it really is helpful to know, you can start anything from something really small, and the more passionate you find people who will come along and support you and encourage you. And if nothing else, just be a cheerleader. And so I'm really grateful for our time together. Limitless Month has been super enjoyable, super informative, and I hope you leave here changed today and inspired to launch from where you are right now. So thank you, Alicia. Thank you all for joining us. And please, again, keep Limitless and Vision in the forefront of your thoughts when you're thinking about charities in our area and who we support and the futures we're trying to ignite. So we're pleased that you were able to join us, and thank you guys again. We hope you have a good evening.
Thank you all. Love you all.